Okay, so I got that little grounding clip back in, and looking at the photos zoomed up, the grounding clip should go outside of that little black piece of, I guess, ribbon cable there, like that, so it can make contact with the camera, and then it's going to ground through the screw that's going through it. So I had to do some research to figure that out. Alright. So, we've got the logic board back in. Next, what we're going to do is take the screws and put them in, the ones that secure the logic board to the case. So, let's start doing that then. Remember backwards till you hear the click so the threads are in. And again, before you put that board down, just make sure your 3 wires here are out. Make sure this wire is out. Make sure these wires are out. Those don't feel like they really want to bend over. Well, have to be really careful when we put them in. Next, we're going to put this screw in. Back, then forward. And then we're going to put the standoff in. Remember, this is with the flathead screwdriver, very tiny. You have to do that with your fingernails to get it in there. It goes right here by the speaker and the vibrator. Okay, so we got the standoff back in. Again, I don't think the screwdriver is big enough to be doing that, but it's adequate, just barely. I mean, you really wouldn't be able to tighten that down very well, but I don't suppose you'd have to. Alright. So we're back to step 22. We're going to take that piece of electrical tape, this guy here, and it goes right down in here. But first, actually, there's a screw that goes down there first. Okay, so we're going to take that ground contact for, I guess, the rear-facing camera. I don't even know anymore. I'm just kind of, going along here and hoping for the best. So they say it's a 2.6 millimeter screw. Trying to get it to stay on the screwdriver there. And it won't stay on the screwdriver. Come on. Alright, so we're going to install it. Remember, go back, then forward. Hear the click? Those are the threads lining up. And this contact's got to be aligned just like so. So go ahead and give it a little push to get the contact into place. Okay, I'm sure the screw is fairly tight. Should look like that. There's the grounding contacts, the screw that holds it in, a little piece of ribbon wire, I don't know what you want to call that, some sort of identification tab or whatever, is behind the contacts, I guess, so when you slip the camera in, these contacts will make contact with the camera. So then, we take this black piece of tape, and from the looks in the picture, that little ear should go over the white sticker and cover the screw, but not get in the way of that other screw hole that's there. And there's that screw hole, you don't want to cover that up. You want to get that ear on the tape or on the sticker there. Straighten it out so it runs next to that little rubber bumper that's supposed to go on the edge of the board there. I'm gonna slide that bumper over a little bit, give me a little more room to get that tape in there. And cross your fingers. Okay. So that was step 22. We're going on to 20 and 21, so it looks like we're starting to connect wires now. So we're going to connect the Wi-Fi antenna to the logic board. And that is this one right here. And you just got to be really careful when you're connecting these itty bitty little connectors back together that you line them up properly. And just give it a little bit of pressure and you'll hear it click into place. And you'll know it's in place because it's not popping back up. So then next we're going to put in the 4.8 millimeter standoff next to the headphone jack. Remember the standoffs look larger and they use flathead screwdriver as opposed to the Phillips screwdriver. And let's see, the headphone jack is right there, so that standoff must go right there. Remember, these are very difficult to get in there, so I'm just going to kind of pinch it with my fingernail and slide it into place like that. Take the flathead screwdriver, go backwards until it clicks like so. Threads are lined up, screw it down. And you want it tight, but don't over tighten, because that can make you have a really bad time. You're not going to have a good time, okay? Anyway, alright, so that's back in. That was step 20. Step 19. The grounding clip. Where does that go? My goodness. Okay, so we're going to install the grounding clip. The ear to the grounding clip, the black long piece, goes like that into the phone, okay? And then this goes that way, and then you have the little prongs, hopefully you can see that right there, that are on that side, okay? So you have some orientation there, because the picture doesn't really show it very clearly. But yeah, it goes down like that. And you're probably going to have to press it in there a little bit. So just make sure it's properly lined up. It should click into place. It's probably best to have this side up a little bit, right there, this side, and press down on that side, like that. And then just kind of use this little guy as a guide to make sure that you're lined up the way you're supposed to be. So after you've done that, you're going to take the 1.5 millimeter screw as described in step 18 and use that to tighten down the clamp. The clamps! Just take that little screw, stick it in there, come on. Alright, so you get it lined up, go backwards, a couple turns, there it clicked in so the threads are lined up, go back down. Nice and snug. Alright, step 17, reconnecting the cables. Yay! Alright, so remember Underneath these cables here, there's a hidden cable. You have 3 cables over on this side. I'm worried I'm going to forget that one, so I'm just going to go ahead and line it up. And again, just be as careful as you can. I mean, even as careful as I'm being, I don't even know how this is going to work out, so line it up. Seems like it's in there. Just going to press it down just to make sure. Give it a little tug up. It seems like it's locked into place there. Okay, so we're going to do the next one. Going to line it up. Press down. You'll hear it click. Take this one. Do the same thing. Okay, like that. Seems like they're all in there. Now these are the screen cables. Like I said, I had some trouble getting these to go in. I'm hoping they'll line up. I know I'm going to get some resistance because they're new cables, because I'm installing this for the first time here on this screen. So I'm going to give them a gentle bend, and that rubber piece that slides along the board is there to protect it. And just inspect it real close. Give me a second because I'm going to do that. Alright, so needed extra pair of hands to hold a flashlight while I line that up. Keep your fingers crossed, but it appears to be locked into place. That's the screen, and that's the screen there. So we have pretty much step 17 done. Let's see here. Alright, so I'm going to move on. Step 16 is the SIM card. I'm going to put that off for now because I can do that at the very end. Step 15 is the rear camera. So there are the contacts where that little, if you remember that grounding connector we put in that went towards, it's right underneath the power switch there. So it should make contact with these contacts there on the camera. Right there you can see where they were making contact before. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in there. I'm going to pull this tape up a little bit because it's kind of in my way. Okay. So, seems like it's in there. So this is the connector for the camera. And you know, even though this connector was installed before, because things have kind of moved around, it may not go right back into place. So just kind of finagle it. I think that's the word, right? Finagle? Make sure you line it up. I'm using a flashlight here so I can look underneath and look at the connector versus the other side on the board there. Okay. Just press it down, makes a little thunk noise, and it's in, okay? Alright. So, and it also talks about the little rubber gasket, make sure it's seated. Fortunately, that's about the only thing that wasn't trashed on this phone. Alright, so next we have the cable cover for the phone. And basically the cable cover, if you remember from before, which I don't remember from before, but thank God I've got the pictures. Okay. Alright, so in this situation, I'm just going to flashlight it down there. You see that black stripe there? That cover's got to go behind it. That black strip is a ribbon cable, so you have to be very careful with it. So I'm just going to try and ease it on in there, and it's got a hook in it. So it's actually got a couple of hooks. And I remember I had trouble getting this out, so I know I'm going to have trouble getting it in. I think now would be an appropriate time to place your bets as to whether or not this thing is going to work once I get it back together. So that was step 14, to get that little shield back in. Step 13 is to start putting the screws in the shield. So we're going to start with what's labeled as the orange screw here in the instructions. And I haven't been consistent in describing what I'm doing here, but it's close enough. Alright, so this orange one is the 2.6 millimeter screw. And it goes next to nothing on the side of the phone there. There's nothing there. It's below the camera. You can see where I'm putting it in. Okay, sounds like it's already threaded. I'm just going to go back. Click. Go forward. Now I'm not going to tighten this down all the way yet because I want to make sure, and really I've been doing that, but I haven't expressed it. You want to make sure all your screws are aligned before you tighten them down, because if not, then you're going to be forcing something into place. So just leave them threaded, but not tight. Alright. So we're putting in the 1.2 millimeter Phillips screw. Okay, I just gotta say, I've dropped this screw twice, okay? They're so small. Be very careful. Anyway, so we're gonna try and stick it in this time. Hopefully I don't throw it again or drop it, because they're very hard to find. So remember, go backwards till it clicks, go forward. Again, don't tighten it all the way. And be very careful because like even just peeling the tape back throws these things across the room, and they're very hard to find. Call me Eagle Eyes because you need them for this. Alright, so this is the 1.3 millimeter screw. I'm just going to set it down there on the table. Get it into the screwdriver. And this one goes right here next to the camera. Really the flash, I guess. Till it clicks, go forward. No need to over tighten. Now we're going to put in the 2.7 millimeter screw. This one you might actually be able to see if you drop it on the floor. Put it down on the table. There it is. Line it up. Alright, this one's going to take some special to get in there. Alright, go backwards, click, go forward. Alright, so now we can tighten these up because they're all threaded. Remember, don't over tighten. These screws can't handle over tightening. Okay, so we're gonna put the cover back on for the flash assembly. In the picture they're doing it with tweezers, metal ones mind you. I think that would be too rough on it. And make sure that you check it and put the sticky side down against the flash. So that way the flash goes off, it'll spread out of the camera instead of spreading in on its way out. Kind of like putting in a peephole backwards in your front door. You want to make sure you get it right. Alright, so that was step 12. 13 and 12, these screws were all 13, the other thing was 12. We're going to put the cellular antenna cable back in place. So if you remember from before, we rerouted it from that metal clip. So I think this green tool will probably be better. I'm just going to take it, bring it back over. Obviously it goes outside of that screw there, the standoff, that one right there. And then there's the contact right there. It's funny how small that looks even next to a toothpick. But anyway, I'm going to bring it back over and line it up. Might have to use my fingers for this. Alright, so you just line it up. Make sure it's perfectly lined up. Press down, you'll hear it click. Okay? It should stay down. That's your cell phone antenna. Don't mess that up, otherwise you're not going to have a good time. Okay. So we have the dock connector cable now. Just going to gently try and put that back there. Run along. Now, again, it's one of those cables. Make sure you line it up perfectly. And that one did not click, but you got pretty good view of it, so you can see it go down into the spot. Alright. That was step 10. Okay, step 9 was to pry the cable up. Step 8 is to secure the dock connector cable cover to the logic board using the 1.2 and the 1.5 millimeter screws. One moment. Now in the picture, the barcode, I believe that's what that is, side goes like so over that cable we just connected. Okay? So the number should be facing right side up towards the top of the phone. And then the 1.2 millimeter screw, okay, 1.2 millimeter screw. Almost lost it there. Does not want to stay on the screwdriver.